Joining me again, CNN senior legal analyst Laura Coates and retired Los Angeles Police Sergeant Cheryl Dorsey. Laura, as we begin this trial, something strikes me here. There are three charges on the books here against Derek Chauvin. There was some reporting in the days, weeks immediately after Floyd's death that there was a plea deal, that Chauvin was prepared to plead guilty to third-degree murder, believing the evidence against him was so great. That was rejected by then Attorney General Bill Barr because he thought it might not be enough, right, given the outrage. Is that relevant as we begin the trial here? Does it affect the case?
Well, of course, one of the reasons that we are told the Attorney General Barr at the time declined is because that plea offer came with conditions that they could not have a federal charge again. They couldn't have a federal case. And so the idea of withholding or foreclosing an opportunity at the federal level probably was very unattractive to then that Department of Justice. But now the idea of whether it will factor in, well, jurors are as aware of this as you are. If they heard the reporting, they may be inclined to take into account that he has already been willing to accept a plea when it came to third degree. But remember, there's a higher charge involved as well. So the idea of having the second degree as a part of that will also be part of the case. Remember, he didn't actually take that plea. And until it's all said and done, until the ink is dry, prosecutors can never count that in their essential basket. But I think it will be relevant here because if you're willing to admit guilt, if you're willing to admit liability in another context, then it's going to behoove the jurors to consider that why now would the person be unwilling to say they've done that very thing. It's all going to come down to the government's burden of proof, but you're right, Jim. The idea that he was willing to do so might not inure to his benefit at all.
As she was speaking there, you saw the three charges he's facing here: second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter, the lowest among that, with a maximum sentence of 10 years. Sergeant Cheryl Dorsey, it was notable to me as I heard the Floyd family attorneys speak that they were already addressing what's expected to be part of the Chauvin defense strategy here, and that is citing evidence of some drugs in Floyd's system here. They say that what killed George Floyd was an overdose of force, nothing about drugs. I wonder, as you heard that there, where you expect the defense to go here, and do you expect that to have an impact?
Well, listen, we see time and time again that defense attorneys try to dirty up the victim. And we've already had a preview of that in the case of George Floyd, where they've talked about a prior encounter with police officers last year. And we know that some of that is going to be addressed in front of the jury. But what's different between that 2019 incident and what happened last year is that George Floyd was someone kneeled on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. And so we know that if, in fact, he had drugs, and he was not charged with anything, but let's just go with their version. If he had drugs in his system in 2019, and they're saying that that's very similar, why then did he not die in 2019? He died in 2020 because of a knee on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, plain and simple. The coroner has attested to that. He died of asphyxiation. But they're going to dirty him up in front of the jury and try to portray him in a way that is not favorable.